Right, welcome back, grade 8. In this session, we're going to look at the other cash journal that we are going to learn about in grade 8. Now, if you can remember from the previous session, we looked at the cash receipts journal. And just to recap before we continue, what is recorded in the cash receipts journal again? It's any transaction where our business receives money. Those can be for different reasons, or that can be for different reasons. The owner giving capital, we are providing a service and we're receiving money for it. Maybe we have somebody renting a piece of our land or a part of the building, and we can even earn some interest at the end of the month if we have a positive bank balance. So that's more or less what we record, or the types of transactions that we record in the cash receipts journal. But as we all know, a business doesn't just receive money and it's all fine and well. There are lots of payments that a business has to do on a day-to-day basis in order to run the business properly. Now, in this year, in grade 8, we are looking at service businesses. So we're not necessarily buying any stock that we will look at in grade 9, but there are lots of other expenses and payments that a service business also has. So let's have a look then now at the second journal for this year, and that is our cash payments journal. So what type of transactions do we record in the cash payments journal? It's all transactions where the business pays out money or cash, where we buy or pay something. Now, what source documents will give us a clue as to whether a transaction must be recorded in the cash payments journal? There's basically two. It is if we like very ancient method of buying or paying something with a check, then remember we've done our source documents. Our check counterfoil is going to be the source document from where we can go and record the transactions in the cash payments journal. And then secondly, more and more businesses are doing payments over the internet, over your banking app, via EFT, and those transactions will then reflect on the business's bank statement. So that is basically the two source documents, types of source documents that we know belong to the cash payments journal. Just keep in mind that bank statement can also be for a cash receipts journal. It's there where we receive direct payments on the into our bank account, and it will also reflect on the bank statement. So you must just be a little bit awake when you see bank statements. Okay, now as with the previous PowerPoint presentation, my students in my school in grade 8 still use the manual method, the 8-column books. So I'm going to show you what the columns are used for, how we label them, and I'm also going to show to you how it works if you have a normal worksheet. Now, grade 8, you'll see that I actually kept the CRJ from the last presentation on here as well. Why? If you are recording the transactions for a business, you will typically do and record transactions simultaneously in the CRJ and the CPJ for that business for a specific month. Now, those of you who have your books with you, you will also see the instructions on Google Classroom that we gave, that you do the CRJ and then we said leave the rest of the page open. So for the next exercises that you're going to do, you can actually now go and complete the CPJ for those exercises below the CRJ that you've already completed. So this is just to give you an idea. So if you're the bookkeeper of your business or of a business one day, or the owner of your business one day, and you're doing it manually, you can literally use a page. The top normally we use for the CRJ and the bottom for the CPJ on a month-to-month basis. Okay, so let's have a look. So obviously the columns are still the same. If we start at the top, as with the CRJ, your CPJ will have a heading. And the nice part is grade 8, lots of the stuff that we already learned for the CRJ, we can basically just apply on the CPJ's side as well. So it makes it a bit easier. So your heading for the CPJ looks exactly the same as for the CRJ. You will just write cash payments journal instead of the cash receipts journal. So it's once again cash payments journal of the name of the business that you're using for that specific exercise, the month and the year. And then as with the CRJ, we will have to number the CPJ. Now, if your CRJ was number 1 for whatever specific month, then your CPJ will also be labeled or numbered number 1 because it's in the same month. Good. And now let's start with the different headings for each of the columns. You will see in the CPJ, we also have a document number column, just as with the CRJ. And in this case, we will record check numbers, or actually from the check counterfoil, and then BS for bank statement if payment was made directly via EFT. Then we have the day column, same as CRJ, the day on which the transaction took place. Then in the CRJ, where we had details, it is basically just replaced with name of payee. Now, what does that mean? There in that column, we now write to whom did we pay or from whom did we buy whatever the transaction told us. So it is normally the name of a business or a person that we will write there. If you perhaps get to a transaction where they say cashed a check, then it means there's not a specific name written on that check, because we want to take that check to the bank, hand it over to the teller, and then cash it, meaning the teller can give us the cash immediately. Then your name of payee will be cash. Good. Then we once again have a folio column that we will only look at in grade 9, just so that you are aware of that little column. And now the first column in your CPJ will always be the bank column. Now, if you compare it with the CRJ, we had the analysis of receipts column. But remember, in the CPJ, yes, we do have a till, but please, 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 we never take money just out of the till to go and make payments. Sometimes it happens in real life, but those business owners probably are not keeping very good records of their transactions. So please, there's no such thing where we do accounting and we record our transactions properly. All payments for now, you'll learn about a few different methods in grade 10 and upwards, but are made directly from your bank account, either by issuing a check or by making a payment via EFT. So whatever you are buying or paying, those amounts are coming straight from your business's bank account, and therefore the first column is your bank column. Okay, and once again, remember our double entry principle. For every debit, there's a credit. The same applies for the CPJ as we explained in the CRJ. So the amount that you are paying is recorded in the bank column, and then in one of the other columns, depending on what you have bought or paid. Okay, so that's the first column always and forever in your CPJ is your bank column. Then after that, now I've put in bracket EX, meaning example. So after that, normally as a business owner, you will decide what type of payments or do I make on a regular basis? So things that are often buy or things that are often pay. And for those type of transactions, we normally allocate columns in the CPJ, because what is our aim of the journal? It's to at the end summarize the same type of transactions. So these columns, and I mean you can even have more, as a business owner you can decide. For my example, I just used 3. For example, if you have lots of casual workers or people you pay on a daily or a weekly basis, you might want to open a wages column because you pay those people every week or every day. Then maybe your business uses a lot of stationery. that's an option. You can have a stationary column. Maybe you're using a lot of packing material in your type of business, you can have a packing material column. But there's no rule. When we get to an exercise, the instructions will tell you open analysis columns for bank and then stationary, packing material, equipment, wages, or whatever. So you follow the instructions, and according to those instructions, you open the columns in your CPJ. Good. And then as with the CRJ, we have our sundry account section. Same rule applies. So if we get to a transaction that we bought or paid something and there isn't a column allocated for that specific transaction, that's not obviously things that happen maybe once or not even on a monthly basis. Though if that transaction happens, we're going to record it in your sundry account section, just as we did with the CPJ, a CRJ. And then at the end, I didn't draw it in, but obviously, as with our CRJ, we're also going to total all our money columns, bank, all the other columns, and your sundry accounts. Good. Then you'll see on the next slide is just another example. Remember with the previous CRJ presentation, I showed you two versions of the journal books, the 8 columns. There's just another way of showing it to you. You'll see again, this big column here is bigger than the one I've just worked on. So there's less columns here, but it doesn't matter. You use your book as it suits you. And once again, grade 8s, I've mentioned it before, you can literally take a lined paper and draw columns in as well. So please, if you don't have the means, or you may be not close to a printer where you can print out worksheets, you can even draw it. That's 100%. Okay, and then if we move on to the next one, here is just an example for people who maybe, or schools who maybe work with worksheets. It looks exactly the same. They normally just don't have the extra open spaces, and it's a printed worksheet that they will work off. Good news for my grade, if my grade 8's moving on to grade 9 next year, then we also use worksheets and workbooks. So don't despair, it's coming for you as well. Okay, guys, let's have a look at an example of a CPJ exercise. Now, if you recall, or if you go back to your CRJ PowerPoint presentation, you'll see we also worked with Sparky electricians. So I thought, let's now do the payment part for Sparky electricians, just so that you can see how it adds up. Okay, so an exercise that you will have to complete will typically look like something like that. So the cash payments journal example, record the following in the cash payments journal of Sparky electricians, make provisions, and see, the exercise instructions tell you which columns to open. So columns for bank, wages, and consumable stores. Now, let's see if I can get it right this time with the typing. Bank, what is the next one? Wages and consumable stores. Let's just see if I can make it slightly smaller. Okay, so that is then how you label your columns. Those of you on the normal 8-column books, you will then go and fill in those columns as we normally would do. Right, and then they tell us close off, apologies, I see there's a little spelling error, close off the journal at the end of the month, meaning we need to get totals. Good. So let's start there. March 2019, did they tell us in the CRJ, they said it was the business was started, so we'll do CPJ1. Let's just enter our heading, because I'm still, I'm always very peculiar with the heading for our journals. So this is then cash payments journal of Sparky electricians. What is the month? March, and the year 2019. And then we just go to the end and we label our CPJ. We number it CPJ1. So that will be the heading for this journal. Okay, so now let's start with the transactions. March the 3rd, so the date is the 3rd. Bought stationery from Macro for 350 Rand and paid by check 001. Apologies, that column is for the document. So in the document number column, they told us it's check 001. So 001, the day is the 3rd. Now, name of payee, from whom did we buy? We bought from Macro. So the name of payee will be Macro. We leave out the folio column. What was the amount that we paid Macro bought for? 350 Rand. That money is coming out of our bank account. Good. You put it in the bank column. Now you ask yourself, what did I do with that? What did I do with that money? I bought what? Stationery. Okay. Is there a column for stationery in my CPJ? No. So then I go to my sundry accounts. 350 Rand. Once again, we'll leave the folios for a little bit later in the year. In the details column, you explained what did you buy. We bought stationery. And that is your first entry. Good. On the 7th, cashed a check to pay the week's wages, 1,200 Rand. Okay, did they give us a check number here? No, they didn't. What do we know? We know that the check numbers or document numbers, any document number, must be entered in numerical order. So if 001 was the first one, then we know 002 must be the second one. Right, the date is the 7th. Is there a name that we from a person or a business whom we paid? No, because we cashed a check. So then in your name of payee, you will write cash. Folio we leave open. What's the amount that we are taking out of our bank account? 1,200. Put it in the bank column. Write it in the bank column. Good. Now you ask yourself, what did we do with that money? We paid wages. Is there a column for wages? Yes, there is. So I put it in the wages column. Good. And that's it. The next transaction on the 8th, paid insure all 750 Rand by EFT for the insurance premium for the month. Okay, so we paid by EFT. We paid by EFT. Our source document is bank statement. Grade 9, grade 8, in some exercise books, they might give you like a number. You can even put that in for the bank statement as well. For my students, I just accept BS for bank statement. That's perfectly fine. Okay, whom did we pay? Insure all. What was the date? The 8th. Okay, name of payee, insure all. That's an insurance company. Right, how much did we pay them? 750 Rand. Where did that money come from? From our bank account. So we first write it in the bank column to show that that money is coming out of my bank account. Why did I pay them that money? It was for insurance. Is there a column for insurance of the bank? No. So I'll go to my sundries, 750 Rand. Now, grade 8, the insurance, they like to put in transactions you paid the insurance premium. But remember, the name of the account that we call it in our books is just insurance. Happy? Good. Next one of my favorites. I always like to put that in. Paid blooming buds 250 Rand on the 12th with a check for flowers for the owner's wife. Okay, so now we're back to check payment. So the last check that we issued was 002. So this one will be 003. The date is the 12th. Whom did we pay? Blooming buds, right? And what was the amount we paid them? 250 Rand. So that money went off our bank account. So we write the amount in the bank column. Why did we pay that money out? Okay, the owner bought flowers for his wife. Okay, what do we call it when the owner uses the business's money for his own personal payments or expenses or personal use? Yes, I hear you from that side. Drawings. Is there a column for drawings? No, so we go to the sundry accounts. Remember, we have to record it as drawings. Why? We can't say flowers or whatever, because the owner, remember, originally put money into the business as his capital contribution. Okay. So now the business owes him that money. If I'm correct from the CRJ example, I think it was 60,000. But anyway, so the business owes that capital contribution to the owner. If he now takes back some of that money for his own personal expenses or payments, that's got nothing to do with the business. We need to show that the business now owes him less. And remember, drawings is basically deducted of the original capital contribution. So just keep that in mind. Even if it's your own business that you have one day, you have to separate the business transactions from the owner's personal transactions. Okay, on the 14th, we cashed a check again to pay wages, 1,200. No number given, but we know it must follow, so it's 004. On the 14th, if we cash a check, we write cash in the name of payee. The money is taken off our bank account, so we always put it in the bank column first, 1,200. Ask yourself, why did we pay that money out? Because we paid wages. Is there a column? Yes, so I put it in the wages column. On the 18th, paid bolts suppliers 3,100 via EFT. 1,800 was for new shelves for the storeroom, and the rest was for consumable stores. Okay, so this one we need to think a little bit. We paid via EFT, so my source document is bank statement. The date is easy, it's the 18th. Whom did we pay? Bolts suppliers. That's also fairly easy. Okay, now let's have a look. It says there we paid them 3,100 via EFT. So that is the amount that went off or out of our bank account. So put the 1,300 in the bank column to show that money is paid out. Now, what did we pay? We used 1,800 of that 3,100 for new shelves for the storeroom. What do we call shelving in accounting terms? Yes, it's called equipment. Is there a column for equipment in the journal? No. So we go to the sundry accounts and we put it in as 1,800 because that's what we paid for the shelves, and then our details is equipment. Okay, so now they say and the rest was for consumable stores. Now they don't give us an amount. What do we do? How do we know what's the amount for consumable stores? Simple subtraction a sum. You say 3,100 minus 1,800, and that should give you 1,300. Right, where do we put that? In the consumable stores column, because it said the rest was for consumable stores. So can you see, grade 8, that the full amount is put in the bank column, is recorded in the bank column, because that's the amount that we paid to bulk supplies as one amount. And then we go and split it to the respective columns, or for whatever we bought or paid there. I hope that makes sense. Right, on the 21st, the second last transaction, again cashed a check. You see this business pays wages weekly, so it's cashed a check. The last one I see there was 004, so this should be 005. The day is the 21st. Cash, what's the amount? I see they pay the same amount of wages every week, and that's how we will record it in our CPJ. Last one, on the 31st, the bank statement. So it's again our BS for the document. On the 31st, from Capitec showed that an amount of 125 Rand was charged for bank charges. So whom did we pay? They actually just took it. That's Capitec, the bank that this business is banking with. Capitec, and then what's the amount? 125 Rand in the bank column, and then there is no column for bank charges, so we go and we put it in the sundry accounts, 125, and then our name of the account, our details is bank charges. Right. And then what we do, just as we had with the CRJ, you need to go and total your columns. Why? When we follow the accounting cycle, the next step would be, and you're going to learn about that in term 3, to post this information to the general ledger. So if you add it up on your side, I've done it here, please go and double check me. I got 8,175 for bank, 3,600 for wages. Consumable stores is only that one amount of 1,300, and then the sundries I got 3,275. Now, can you remember what we said in the CRJ with regards to the columns? That your bank columns total, yeah, so this 8,175 must be equal to all the other column totals added together. Why? Because we're working with the double entry principle, that for every debit there is a credit. And you can see once again, grade 8, every amount appears twice in the CPJ. You might ask, what about this one, bulk suppliers? Yes, it does. This 3,100, if you add these two amounts together, it will also give you 3,100. Okay, and that's how we record a CPJ. I actually think that after one has done the CRJ, the CPJ is fairly easy to complete and to understand. Just remember that we work with this check and check counterfoils and bank statement, and that every single amount must be recorded in the bank column, because we are taking money out of the bank account, and then in the applicable other column. And then I think you will be fine to do an exercise on your own. At the bottom, complete activity 1, and that's on a cash payments journal. I will also include it in your source resource documents, so that you have that information.